Good afternoon, Pilar. So you told me that you are Colombian and you are currently living on Italy, right? So I want to make you an interview in order to know how was your experience living in a foreign country. So first of all, I want to ask you, how was your experience living in a foreign country?
Well, good afternoon. My experience when I got there was the language. It was a hard time trying to communicate because in Spanish and Italian, certain words are very similar. That's why it was a little bit difficult for me.
Okay, interesting. So, I also want to know which are the main similarities you detected during your stay in Italy.
Well, something very similar is the food. The food is very similar, like in Colombia, the pizza or spaghetti are very similar because pizza they eat everywhere. We can eat pizza. Also, when try to communicate with our hands. Also in Colombia, when you try to communicate, you can communicate with our hands. That's why things are similar.
Okay. And what do you think were the main challenges you faced based in the communication aspect when you arrived there, and how do you overcome them?
Well, the challenge was how communicate, and because I didn't know the language very good, but afterwards I could try to understand better, and I could communicate much better because I was there a few days, and it's easy. It was easier to go somewhere and communicate.
Okay. And can you give some suggestions to think could be helpful to face intercultural communication misunderstandings?
Okay, the suggestions when you get there is try to understand how the way they think, how the Italians think, so that way it's easier to understand them if you know how they think. I think that's something very helpful when they're in Italy.
Okay, thank you. And can you give us an example of moments in which you had difficulties?
When I had difficulties was try to make me understand, and that's what I had more difficulties in, try to make me understand. But then I could understand better. Also, when I tried to find an address, I got lost, and someone approached me and helped me how to find that address.
Okay, thank you for sharing your examples. Okay, in order to conclude the interview, I would like to hear your general perception about Italy, like positive and negative aspects of the culture in that country that you found.
Well, the things positive, and that the people are very gentle, they're hilarious, they're helpful, and I think those are most important things. They get funny and very friendly. I think those are the most important things when you're there in Italy. And the negatives are the sometimes they speak so loud, always they shout, and sometimes they get very late in appointments. They get very late.
Okay, that was all for this interview. So thank you so much for sharing your experience and answering my questions.